fantastic. And if not, I can continue sharing the meeting and let that person sort of think about sharing it in the future. For those, we've done a roll call for those online. We will go around the room so that you can, for those of you online, you can hear our voices and we have a new person. So that would be a good way to introduce everyone to everyone. So Pat, if you want to jump in.
Pat Johnson, Stewartville Public Library, and I'm alternate for Medium Public Library. Monica Erickson, Chatfield Public Library. Cheryl Hill, SELCO.
James Hill, the Florida Public Library.
Patty Aaron School Libraries in Rochester.
Tyler Irvin, SELCO. Donovan Lambright, SELCO. Brad Haugen, Lourdes.
Dan Hutton, SELCO and South.
And Michael Scott from SELCO.
And I heard a beep. Do we have anybody else online?
Nobody new joined.
Okay, so we are expecting Ann Wilkinson. We have Michelle McCaffrey. We're expecting Peggy Hefner. We have John, and we have Mary Kay. So Michelle, John, and Mary Kay, anytime you need, just feel comfortable interrupting. We know that we can't see you raise your hand or unfurl your brow. Is that the right term? Anyhow,
Sure.
But if you're looking questionable, just hop in there. So we have agenda that was posted, and Donovan is also projecting it. Is there anything to add? Oh, wow, a webcam for Mary Kay. Woohoo! How exciting. I love this technology. Are you talking to us because we're not hearing you?
Sorry, too many gadgets, all right? I'm turning it off, so.
Okay. Thank you for joining us that way. That's cool.
Yes.
Any additions to the agenda as it was distributed? Then I'll simply declare by consensus the agenda approved. So, election of co-chair. For the last quite a few years, I'm not going to even try to gander or guess without going back and actually looking at the chart. Diane Plager has been serving as the co-chair of this committee, shifting the management of the meeting with whoever was the chair of the Technology Policy Committee. With January, Diane has reached the maximum of number of terms, three-year terms that she could serve on this committee. And so we have Pat joining us as the new school library rep. But we also then have lost not only Diane's wealth of expertise on this committee, but we also have lost her as our co-chair. So today was an opportunity for those of you who represent school and public libraries to either nominate yourself or nominate someone else in the group to serve as co-chair of this group. So, nominations. So what's happening for those of you who are online is everyone in the room is looking at each other.
I don't know if I have a steely enough gaze.
This is Mary Kay. I nominate James Hill.
Hey, this is Ann.
Hi, this is SELCO office. We seem to be having some issues with our phone line. We're trying to find out what might be going on. In the meantime, Ann Hokinson has joined us online.
So when we were technologically interrupted, Mary Kay had nominated James. I took the liberty of asking James his willingness while we were offline. His comment was, James, do you want to share with the group?
Sure.
He did put the caveat if no one else is nominated. Any other nominations? Do you feel comfortable chairing the meeting today?
I'll give it a shot. I've never chaired a meeting, but...
All right, then. All those in favor online, we'll let you say aye first.
Aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute. Here's some extra votes there.
Any nay votes online? I'll take your silence as no to any nay votes. Those in the room, nomination for James Hill?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Oh, Jonathan, Michael, and I can vote. Aye. Very good. All right, then I will officially hand you the gavel, James. And Tyler, I think we can go ahead for the minutes and put down that Sherry seconded the nomination.
Okay.
Very good. Is that okay, Sherry? Oh yeah. I won't pull a senator. Well, that's why I was asking. I won't pull a Senator Polkamiller who used to assign motions in seconds to people who weren't even in the Senate hearing room. It was sort of wild. Okay,
Well,
James,
then
it's all yours.
let's move on to committee terms, Ann.
So for those of you who are public library members, you've sort of somewhat heard this before. I scooped up on the nomination process, both in the calling for nominations, as well as then as Tyler took over the task of sending out ballots. He looked at the rotation and discovered that I had gotten off schedule. So we have, in looking at the who comes on this committee, when they come on the committee, and when people rotate off of this committee, we have a year or two where no one is going off, but we also then have the potential in the next round of terms where we have 3 or 4 people who will have hit a maximum number of terms and the potential to lose a fair largest percentage of this committee. So being as we have new terms starting right now, this is really more of a, can you call up the roster on the committee page? What I was going to propose was that we can do one of two things. We can do the, someone who is currently existing on for 3 years willingly, if they were willing to do 1 year less to get us in rotation, or you can do 1 year more to get us into rotation. So as you can see, we have multiple terms with people, both with Peggy as the elected, as well as Mary Kay, the alternate, going off in the same year. We have that repeated again in the medium-sized library, with Sherry going off, as well as Pat, potentially, James and Sherry. No.
They got 2 years. They're okay.
They're okay. Sherry and Peggy. No, if you look at Sherry and Peggy. Okay.
Yeah. Peggy and I
are both at the end of this year. And I think there's also a small slot that also is going off. So it can stay this way, or we can try to adjust it now so that we don't have a brain drain all at the same time. But it was my when I called for nominations or when I sent out ballots. I'm not sure how we got off track, but when we set up this committee in 2003, the intent was that some people would be coming on and some people would be going off. So I sort of like to figure out what the group would like to do.
I think it might be easier if you, the way you're envisioning it makes sense, but I have trouble visualizing myself unless you actually say, well, here's what we might do is put one of these people in or shorten them. You know what I'm saying? So you actually can then show us the schedule of rotation. Otherwise, I have a hard time telling who might.
We can do that for next meeting.
And I think that would be.
All right, I'll put that on my to-do list. So for those of you online that you can see projections, I'll just put together a chart and I'll do it two ways. What happens if we add a year and what happens if we drop a year for someone, and I'll...
Would the chart that I created with the history be sufficient?
Yeah, that's right. Did you do the chart with me? Or did you just do the chart of all the history of the subject? Oh, wow. I thought you were only going to do a chart of everybody who ever was, but not is now.
Yeah, it's current and also includes
my proposal that
I created.
Huh.
I think you already have access to it, Donovan?
I do.
Did I answer your question, or maybe we'll still just bring it back next time? Let's have you take a look at this chart to start with.
Sure.
While he's pulling up the chart, I have an additional question, and that's the alternate. Could you explain the history behind that, why we actually have alternates anyway, because that seems, and why they would have terms, because if, for instance, Pat rolls up her 3 terms, is she then eligible to be a regular voting member, or her term means she can't be on the committee at all? It's a little strange.
I was curious about that also. Or if she would become the full representative for one term, would that use her 3 terms up?
This is Ann. This is the only committee. No, the Self-Advisory Committee has alternates. So this committee was modeled on what we knew we had done for 20, 30 years in the Self-Advisory Committee, with the idea being that this committee was providing advice on important enough things that we needed to make sure we had multiple voices from the library community, which meant that we wanted X number of voices, and if someone were consistently gone, or even if they only missed one meeting, there was enough important decisions being made that we did not want to lose a voice just because it was a bad day, the weather was bad, whatever. What we have never done is said that because someone was the alternate for X number of years, that they were excluded. They actually could be, and in fact, Michelle has served in that position. She had been the alternate, and in her alternate role did not attend very often. It was the exception. It was more the rule, as is the case with the CELS Advisory Committee. The alternate regularly doesn't attend. Pat is the exception who has pretty much regularly attended, even though she may or may not be the voting member. So it was really the intent to make sure that we did not end up with some type of procedural or policy decision affecting the operation in the day-to-day operation in the library that did not have ample enough input from the group. So hence the alternates and the voting. And truly, other than when we come to a vote, no one has ever said, to all my knowledge, said, well, you're the alternate, you can't talk today. So we are still hearing from you.
Well, here's one of my questions about that, because you're saying like Michelle could then move over, but is it, the one thing that I'm confused about, you'll even see mine that's up on the screen right now, my first term, but I was an alternate, so we are counting alternate. If you're a first term alternate, you're a second term alternate, you go to third term, then you can't, after that third term, then be a first term voting without rotating off for a year or so, right?
Yes, you could, because you filled it in a different capacity.
Well, that's right.
Okay.
My first term is green alternate, and it was vacant, and then I moved to second term, but I should have been first term regular. You see my confusion here?
Yes.
And I think it is confusing
Well,
in general.
obviously Tyler created the chart, and I have to say, even though he shared the link with me, this is the first time I'm looking at it, because I just know he does good work. So how I have intended it was how I explained it. So the alternate is the alternate, and then you could serve a full term as the real person, the real slot. If the group thinks that that is favoritism or isn't the most logical, we can do it as Tyler has written it and how you understand it. My thought process was we don't seem to have a huge number of people wanting these jobs. And so if you have someone who has been in an alternate, has been given the right to vote, but has listened to the conversation, they are that much more in tune with what's been happening to be able to then represent, and maybe better represent, their peers, or not. Not to say that the new person, Pat is a good example, that you would, the other Pat, at the other end of the table, I'm not trying to say that because you're the new voice at the table, you can't represent school libraries well. You might bring that breath of fresh air that we need. So I don't have a preference for how we do it other than whatever we do, let's document it so it's not in my head. Preference?
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Ann.
Oh, okay. But you're the only one.
Oh,
Really? So
Oh.
who's that?
John.
John? Hi, John.
I think we probably lost SELCO.
Yeah.
Well, look at your control panel. You can see some comments.
Yep.
Do you have that, Ann?
Yeah, yep. That they can't see the comments. Yep, there we go.
Okay, Michelle, hi, Michelle.
Hello. We're all chatting with each other.
Okay, maybe we should have a secondary meeting. It's either pointing to Peggy. What?
Oh, boy.
Ready to hang her up?
I kind of thought they'd cancel. The weather must not be that bad over there for those guys.
That's what Graham was just telling me. He says it ends at Steele County. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
okay. Here it looks like, you know. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's clear here, but hey, Ann.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Ann,
No. It's a flippin' nightmare out there here now.
Yeah. It was that way before. Hey, Ann, did you finish your Blue Cross Blue Shield report?
No.
Okay. Did you ask for extension or what?
Yeah. No, I didn't. But I just sent out a survey and stuff to the participants and everything. Okay. I haven't even.
Okay.
I find the alternate thing.
Glad to hear that.
Reason, I don't know if other people feel the same way, but you know the other point is in the case of Michelle McCautry, who didn't come as often when she was an alternate. Well, the point of having an alternate is to be present and voting on issues when the regular doesn't attend. Well, if that's the case, and the alternate hadn't been attending, potentially are they even up to speed on the issues and part of the discussion in the first place? So then all of a sudden they show up and they vote. It just seems, I don't know. I will say,
of course, I missed most of the discussion. This is Mary Kay, but that can be a good thing if you're forced to explain yourself. You know, this is what's been happening, and certainly we don't have attendance from some of the regular elected people. I don't know you were heading with this. I'm sorry.
You're sort of in the group. We lost the group, and then sort of came back right where we were.
Okay.
What I did while we lost the connection was that we treated the advisory committee, where the alternate could be the alternate and then was eligible for a full term. For our own sanity here at the office, I'd like, if we continue to have alternates for this committee, I'd like to treat them the same way, so we're not trying to remember which committee is which. And the SELCO alternates have a precedent in that we have had alternates for that advisory committee as long as I have been here.
Okay.
Really. So then James brought up the question: do we actually need the alternates? That's when we lost you as our alternate. We kind of. Yes, conspiracy theories can abound.
Mary Kay's currently an alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely need to get rid of the alternate.
Did I not see this coming?
And we tactfully
Very
dropped from the top.
Remember, I get to vote today.
All right.
Can I interrupt for just a minute? This is Donovan. If I could interrupt with some housekeeping for just a quick minute. So, yeah, our phone connection seems to be a little unstable. I don't know if it's the wind conditions or what. If you suddenly don't hear us anymore, but you can still hear the other people that are online, then that's our phone connection. If suddenly you can't hear anything at all, then that's probably your line. Because us going down here doesn't affect the other people online, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So if suddenly we drop again, believe me, we'll know because our phone suddenly starts giving us a dial tone, and then we'll immediately dial back in. Those of you who are online, nobody can see typewritten comments except me. So you'll need to do those verbally if at all possible. I'm the only one logged into the meeting here.
Okay, but
I can do that. I can do that.
Do we have comments that need read?
We had one that came through.
Or you could project them.
Well, I can't, except this is how big they are. You can't see them.
You can't see them.
Is the problem. So it's really better if people can speak up, but I will read this one.
Okay, you mean there was a comment with regards to the content of our discussion?
Yes.
Very good.
Ann Hopkins, in my opinion, James Hill 2011-2013 should be green also. A partially filled term, say to fill a vacancy, should end normally at the predicted time, but not count toward the max 3 terms. That was a little while ago.
I'm not sure I understand
that was a little earlier in the conversation.
That was a different issue, and I would have to make sure that it follows Robert's rules because our bylaws, and that's sort of the reason why the 3-year terms is part of this committee and why we have quorums, is that our bylaws for the organization say that we will defer to Robert's Rules of Order. And there is a specific set of procedures for how to fill unfilled or vacant terms within the bylaws and within Robert's Rules of Order. So I will look at that in light of Ann's comment.
Well, regardless, my term should be green for 2011 because that was my first term as a regular elected member. According to the direction you've already said, you understood the representation, right? Yeah.
Right.
And that is my fault for not looking at Tyler's colorful chart before now.
I think it would be easier if you just went ahead and create a list, maybe put together a draft of what you think are how the term should be expanded or contracted such that we get back on a normal term schedule.
I will do that.
Everyone else is okay with that?
We've spent enough time on this, and we could continue talking for quite a while. I'll do a list.
Motion on that.
Nope. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for giving me all these good ideas as we move forward.
All right, then let's move on to input from online libraries elected representatives. Does anyone have any comments that they needed to bring to the group? If not, then we'll move on to the technology project report. Donovan?
This is rather a long one because we have not had a meeting since October, so a lot has been going on since then. As always, we have cooperative technology purchases going on. The fall deployments, which were in process last time around, have been completed, 15 devices, and related items were purchased by 18 libraries. The order forms for 2014 winter are out and due back at the end of this month. The OCLC reclamation project is on track. We have inventories coming up at Zumbrota Mazeppa Schools, Dodge Center Public, Cannon Falls Public, and Spring Valley Public. The kickoff meeting for groups 3 and 4 was on Tuesday. And I realize I'm burning through these kind of quick. I will trust that people can call out questions if they want me to expand on any of this. The new SELCO website is up. It launched on January 6th. The initial response has been largely positive. People are bringing to our attention things that need to be tweaked. We're also catching some things ourselves, and we're doing our best to change those as quickly as possible. Let's tell Dave what's going on with the phones. We will start usability testing up again in February. Before we started actively working on the site, we had been conducting usability testing on a monthly basis. We stopped doing that when the development of the website went into high gear. Now that we've launched, we'll start that up again. We're going to do SELCO staff in February, and then we'll get back to doing it with users from the online libraries in March.
This is Sherry. If we have questions or comments, who should they be sent to?
Just send them to the help desk, and the web team will deal with them. Or, as always, you can just email me.
Okay, thank you.
SMS Notices, this is really kind of old news at this point, but in our last meeting in October it wasn't, so I just wanted to give us all some closure on that project. The service launched in early December, and for our first month, which was a partial month, we delivered 360 notices via SMS. And I'm not sure what the number will be in January. I'm going to be curious to see if it goes up or not.